so basically, this idea of it not shutting down endogenous production and also higher dose administration being more beneficial than lower dose administration. I think there's a couple things that I learned from your book that I wanted to make sure I mentioned to folks. You do mention some research that shows those smaller doses taken farther away from bedtime than most people, I think, take melatonin, like 2 to 4 hours before bedtime. That does seem to be effective at reducing sleep latency, or the amount of time that it takes to fall asleep. So there are some benefits to the smaller dose. You will fall asleep faster. But when you're talking about the actual anti-inflammatory effects, cellular autophagy, the effects on the biome, and some of the other anti-inflammatory and other benefits that I think we'll also be touching on even more as we move forward here, the peak blood time, or the peak plasma levels, I think is what you call them in the book, decline pretty rapidly in response to like that low dose administration. But then the actual the peak plasma levels stay elevated for an extended period of time during the entire night when you've got something like a melatonin suppository. It's the same thing with like your NAD suppository. And a lot of times I'll do the NAD and the melatonin suppository at the same time. So I'm basically getting this slow bleed, so to speak, of melatonin and NAD into my system the entire night. And again, like at first I was a little bit concerned about the dosage levels, but you've got several studies in the book where you talk about like daily oral doses of 30 to 60 milligrams of melatonin being well tolerated and having virtually no side effects. There's one clinical trial you talk about where people are getting daily 300 milligram melatonin suppositories with no clinical complications. Another one where there was 60 milligrams of intravenous melatonin and no issues. And so it seems to actually be, if anything, not only safe, but also beneficial. And so I think that that the lower dose does have some benefit, but again, it's farther away from bedtime than most people are taking it, and the benefit is primarily that reduction in sleep latency.
Yeah, exactly.